Oh, awesome. Well, I just good. Thank you. I see all your feedback. So let me take it from where I was. Thank you very much. Um, so here's the deal. I was speaking about absent fathers and present absent fathers, and I explained about the absent fathers. I was just starting the conversation going on, but yeah, we're fine. So here's the deal. There are a lot of present absent fathers, and I'm going to explain the impact of that because that's a very damaging thing for the boy child, particularly. All right, speaking as fathers and to children in general. All right, now, and I'll tell you what it creates or the problem it creates for adult relationships. Now, one of the things you don't want to lose, which present absent fathers or absent fathers lose, is the essential relationship with children, because it takes relationship with the child to train and mentor the child. Two key things you must do in life. All right, parenting is a trust to train and mentor. Now, in the absence of that connection, here's what happens. Children actually respond to you to the degree to which there is a connection. That's why a lot of us could not wait to gain our independence from our parents, the way African countries were looking for independence from their colonial masters. All right, so while the relationship was essential, why the child will need this parent for paying school fees, why the child knows that I can't do without this person, the child is looking towards the day of independence when you are not careful about maintaining the quality of the connection. So what happens that a lot of people do not actually identify is when they are absent or present absent, they are losing that umbilical cord that makes the child choose them, all right, when they become adults. So you have a lot of people who today are posting Happy Father's Day to their parents by faith. They are posting Happy Father's Day by faith. Some are doing it just because, let it not be that they did not do it. And that's a problem because something major has happened. The vital connection that should make them receive from you, essentially, the training you have and the mentorship you have. And that's why you have a lot of children who can't wait for adulthood to exclude the father in their life, because they know that the only reason they remain connected to their parents is because that parent, they have not yet attained the age of independence. They need school fees paid. They need essentials. Let me say this. If your children are connected to you because of what you can give that they cannot yet afford, once they can afford it, they will be disconnected from you. I'm going to repeat that. If your children stay connected to you because of what you can give that they cannot yet afford, the moment they can afford it, they will stop being connected to you. And your relationship will become biological and not relational. Your relationship will remain only biological and not relational. And guess what? I identified three key phases earlier when I talked about the dependence phase, the conversation phase, and the legacy phase. Now, the beauty of relationship with your children is when they become adults, they are able to maintain an essential connection to you by their choice and not by force. So a lot of children are connected to their fathers today by the force of nature. It is that child is 15. That child cannot pay school fees. That child cannot buy a car for themselves. That child cannot feed themselves. All right. So the first adult relationship issues you have out of daddy issues actually commences at the place where you have failed to maintain a deeper relationship than one of necessities or one of need. All right? When your son or daughter no longer needs you, how would they relate with you? That's why it goes beyond training to mentorship. So see, I say this to people that if we parent well, when our children are adults and they have conversations they need to have with elders, they will consider us wise enough. But that's not going to happen if the foundation is laid on absence, whether absent or present absence. And here's the deal. Anytime a parent is absent, particularly fathers, is a feedback in three respects. And I'm going to explain. It's a feedback in three respects. Number one, I don't value you. I don't value you. I do not value you. It's a feedback. So it doesn't matter. That's why fathers are struggling, that's why fathers are struggling. And before you know it, you have this situation where the father is confused, but I pay school fees, I give you money, blah, blah, blah. Then you see a man going into things. I pay school fees, I pay rent, I renovated the house, I even built us a big house. My brother, calm down. A child comes to the point where their brain tells them the truth. And what is the truth? You are not doing me a favor training me. You are not doing me a favor paying school fees. You are actually doing the minimum to show that you are responsible. I did not beg for you to give birth to me. So you see all those boasts. A father will come and boast, I sent you to school, I did this for you. Please, can you calm down? You were doing what you should do. It was not a favor to the child. So the child is expecting deeper. And what is that deep thing they're expecting? They're expecting something beyond what is, let me say, statutory. Let me say it's in the law. They're expecting what is beyond basic. They're expecting an essential communication. So what is going on at that point? The child is getting the feedback that you don't value me. You don't value me. Number two thing that happens is you can't teach me. That's why you see children grow up to the point where parents are wondering, what did I do? What's my sin in this life? Why? The end product of your training of a child is how they will relate with you as an adult. And guess what? God sparing your life, you will have your children relate with you more in life as adults than children. Because what are we talking about? 10, 15 years, they have gone out of your control. But guess what? Let's assume, like me, you are not yet 40. You are just approaching 40. And your son is already 12. All right? By the time I'm 45, my son should be about 18. By the time I'm 50, my son may be married. And I'm not planning to die young. All right? So guess what? That means he can still knock out around 30 to 35 years relating with me, not under my control. Are you getting what I'm saying? So the end product of training the child is how the child will relate with you when the child is no longer a child. That's why the Bible will tell you, train up a child the way he should go. When he's old, you will not depart from it. All right? So it becomes essential to you to know that the end game of this relationship is how they will relate with you when they're adults. So you see why some of you are still struggling to relate with your own fathers. You don't want to come to the point where your children are struggling to relate with you. So that's one of the things you want. So the next thing I said, number one, it gives them a feedback that you don't care. You don't value them. Number two, it gives them a feedback that you can't train them. Because before you can educate a person, the person wants to see you care. Care is actually at the foundation of education for a person who has an opinion. Care. Let me tell you the truth. The reason everybody signed up in this academy or part of Coach Wendy's programs and all of that is because it's beyond somebody just wanting to give lecture. When you see the passion with which people like Coach Wendy, her husband, my brother Ebuka and all do this thing, you know that there's a drive. You know that they care for you, they care for your children, they care for your family. Something is coming from within. It's beyond just delivering coaching or doing a job. It's a care. So your children are going to come to a point where if there's no foundation of care and a trust that you care for them, forget it. They cannot see you as their trainer. And that's why they will begin to discount your opinion. You see why some fathers are struggling to see why don't you respect me? What have I done in life? What is my sin? Your sin is that you did not lay a foundation for the child to believe they are valuable. So you cannot train. You cannot train. So your opinion, even if your opinion is good, they can't take it. And guess what? Please, parents, listen to this and don't play with this. You see this control you have over that 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 5-year-old, you will lose it. I came to announce to you, you shall lose control. It's a promise. You see this control, you will lose it. Can I tell you why I know you will lose control? Your father is no longer in control of you. He couldn't even control who you married. Couldn't control how many children you want to have. Couldn't control what city you will live. Couldn't even control what you read in school when he was paying school fees. Some of us fought. You know yourselves. Listening to me. They were paying school fees. You refused to read what they wanted you to read. Do you get what I mean? See, if you want your opinion to count as they become adults, you want to show them that you care. And the way you show them that you care is before they begin to hold opinion. Learn to show them that you are present. You answer their questions. You listen to them. You pay attention when they talk. You make time for them. It's a feedback. The third thing is you can never mentor a person that got a feedback that you don't care. These are the three impacts of whether you are absent, or present but absent. And like one of the comments, I saw a comment earlier, is there something like absent present? Yes, it is present absent, whether it is present absent or absent present. All right. Now for absent present, let me touch on it because of that comment I saw, because it puts full perspective to what I'm saying. There is constructive absence. Yes, there's something like that. It's a daddy issue. And some people are solving it well. There's constructive absence. I'm going to give you an example. A military man. Should we say military people, all right? Should we say military people will not have children? They'll have children. That's their vocation. That's their calling. That's their life. He's absent physically, but can be present decisionally. Please, if you are taking notes, write that down, because some of you are in situations where it's not because you are toxic. Your wife is not even complaining, or your husband is not complaining. You actually have a beautiful relationship, but because of calling or vocation, certain constructive absence happen. Why do I call it constructive absence? Because it's not destructive absence. It's not because there's destructive absence. What is destructive absence? Absence that can be avoided. I'll give you some example, and a lot of fathers do it. You are rolling with the boys, you can't roll with your wife. You are rolling with the boys, you cannot roll with your sons. You are rolling with the boys, you cannot roll with your children. Every evening, you're going to sit down somewhere to drink or to chat away or to eat fish, not with your wife, not with your children. That's destructive absence. You chose it. It was not something that you needed to do. It was not something that held you down. You know, it was not something you agreed with your spouse, or it was necessary for the family and the family understood. That's destructive. So you can be absent present. Thank you so much for the person who actually chipped that in and asked if there's something like that. Yes, there is. So let me give you an example of the military man. Absent but present. So this person is on posting, cannot control it. The family understands. The wife is even praying with him. Let me tell you the truth. We live in a generation where none of us has an excuse to be absent, even if we are physically absent. There are phones. We have all the means of communication. Back in the days, it would have been difficult for Coach Wendy to do this. But right now, as I speak, I believe there are people joining from all places in the world. US, Canada, UK, South Africa, Ghana. I'm sure you are joining from every conceivable place on earth. Why are you joining this? Why did you sign up to this? Why are you in the academy? Why are you taking part in everything going on? You can make yourself present by all means. And guess what? You cannot be present by mistake. You are only present by intentionality. You cannot be present by mistake. You are a present father, intentionally speaking. All right. So it becomes important because I mentioned three key things. Number one, you are giving the feedback that you don't care. Number two, if they feel you don't care, they cannot learn from you. And ultimately, you cannot mentor them. So that's one daddy issue we have. All right. Let me mention another daddy issue that affects the relationship between the grown child and their parent. Because I said the first adult relationship that is impacted by what you do to your children is the relationship between the very father who did it and the children when they become adults. And don't forget I said that your children are going to have a longer relationship with you as adults than as children. Your children are going to have a longer relationship. And guess what? At that point, you don't control the relationship. You only take the impact of their choices. You only take the impact of their choices. And now that's why it's quite tricky. That's why you want to make sure you lay the right foundation. Because it's not now that you can choose what color they wear. It's not now that you can choose what shoe they wear, what dresses they wear. They are going to make decisions. Like I was saying somewhere yesterday, and it was hurtful to say, but it was the truth. We have mothers today who are still in their husbands' houses while their daughters are already back home divorced. Do you know how hurtful that is? We have fathers who are still keeping their wives, but their sons are already on their second or third wives. Do you know how painful that is to that father? Because there's no father who wants to see failure in their children. And I'm not just talking academic failure. Your children are going to pass in school. Please, it's beyond passing in school. Passing in school is good, but we're talking about legacy. Legacy. We're talking about fathers who look back and their children are caught in all manner of nonsense, caught in wild lifestyles, caught in corruption, caught in every bad news you know on the earth. You are still alive seeing it. You can't control it. Do you get what I mean? So please, that's the foundation of what we're talking about, because the first adult relationship that is affected by your daddy issues is actually your own relationship with that child, and it's the longer relationship actually. It is longer than when you have them as children. All right? So I said, that's talking about absent fathers, all right, whether absent, or present, absent. All right? The other thing that happens when it comes to the father-son or father-daughter relationship that is a daddy issue is actually how you treat their mother. How you treat their mother. The first impact. See, children love their mom. Even some mothers that are witches and wizards. Women cannot be wizards. Children love their mom. A lot of men do not understand this. A lot of men do not understand why children have this connection to their mother particularly. So it is a disservice to your future and relationship with your child when you cannot treat their mother right. In fact, one shortcut to parenting right is to treat your wife right. One shortcut to parenting right is to treat your wife right. Because if you cannot treat your wife right, you are already creating bad blood. There's a defense mechanism in a child towards their mother. There's an umbilical cord that you cannot sever between a child and his mother. And let me say this to you, as one who has experience in being a stepson. I've been a stepchild 3 times. I'm even currently a stepchild. One of the mistakes parents make, as fathers make, when they have subsequent wives, is that you keep putting down somebody's mother and think that that person will automatically respect your wife. You are joking a joke that is not funny. Let me repeat it, because some of you may already be there. Some of you, you may already be there. You may have experienced it, or you are creating an experience for a child. And let me even say this. All right, let me assume that you are not there because you had a divorce situation. Let me assume that some people are already there because they lost their spouse. If you do not treat the place of a child's mother well, don't present any woman and expect respect. They may show respect in quote in public, but they will struggle to honor any woman you want them to honor. And you know the mistake a lot of men make? Then you'll be hyping this woman, expecting these stepchildren to regard, defer to, honor, and want this person when you are damaging the one that they have an affiliation to. You are joking. Shortcut to parenting well. First of all, love your wife. Just be loving your wife. Your children will feel a sense of obligation to honor you. Because not loving their mother, maltreating their mother, dealing with their mother is a feedback to them that they should not also honor you. If you want your children to honor you, show honor to their mother. Fathers, show honor to their mother. Your children will get an automatic feedback that honor is a code. The reason a lot of children struggle when they become adults to relate honorably with their fathers is because their father broke the honor code. Why? Time will fail me to go into that. But your treatment of your wife is a reflection of your honor code. Don't just love, show it. Don't just show it, lavishly show it. Don't just lavishly show it, announce it. Let your children see that their mother is loved by you. All right? Because of time, let me flip it. Because I really wanted to talk about this legacy phase of your relationship. Because sometimes if you don't tell people what is selfishly in it for them, they may not get the point. These things I'm telling you is what is in it for you. You. Remember why I'm saying this. You are going to have a longer relationship with your children as adults than as children. You are going to have a longer relationship with your children as adults more than as children or dependents. So that is what is in it for you, for your adult relationship with your own children. Let's flip it very quickly with the remaining few minutes I got. If you want the best for your children in life, please be present. Every absent father is damaging their children. Every absent father is a damage done to a child. Every absent father, and I'm going to explain the categories of the or the dimensions of the damage. Damage number one, you are a trustee for God to show them the way. Every time you are not there, you are denying them a way. Please don't blame some people who are on social media celebrating their pastors today. Don't blame them. It is because God had to raise foster fathers for people whose fathers never trained them. So they have an overwhelming sense of appreciation to the one who fathered them, not the one who gave birth to them. You see a lot of people today appreciating people who played the role, not just those who impregnated a woman. Right? So every absent father damages children. And I said number one damage is that, let me put it this way. How would you feel? In fact, let me give you a bit of the emotion of God. How would you feel if you paid school fees and you paid school fees and they told you your child was going to learn 10 subjects and one of the subjects is French? Then midterm, you come for what they call it now, open day, and the feedback you got from the school or from your child in his class after asking across weeks, where's your French notebook? No French notebook. Then you come into the class for open day and you get the feedback that actually for half the term, the school did not have a French teacher and none was coming to class. Man, you are going to get angry because you paid for it. Every absent father, which is a daddy issue, I'm still on that issue of absence, is a disservice to the body of knowledge God intended to channel through him to a child. It's a disservice. Because there are lessons in the curriculum of life that God trusted into the man. Because fatherhood is an office. Fatherhood is an office. You occupy an office. It's like the absent teacher for school fees you paid. You are going to get mad. That's why God is not happy with a lot of fathers. Because you had a role to play in the curriculum, but you are not there. You are not teaching it. You are damaging the child. There's a body of knowledge the child needs that should have come from you, but you are not even present. Talk more of teaching it. That's why you have a lot of people today needing foster fathers to learn lessons their fathers never taught. Never taught it. All right, so that's dimension number one. A trustee to teach that is not teaching. A trustee to teach that is not teaching. What happens to this child? That child goes into life deformed and happening to the relationships in their future. Because guess what? Guess what? When your children leave you as adults, they cannot enter any other relationship other than adult relationships. So you are damaging their future when you are not present to teach the curriculum you should have taught. Who should my son learn to love from me? Who should my son learn how to approach a woman from me? Who should my son learn how to make money in the basic sense of life before they begin to go into financial classes or go into all manner of things? Where they need to learn it from you. Why do they need to learn it from you? How did you pay their school fees? Tell them that one first. How were you able to keep a house rented? Tell him that. How were you able to build a house? Tell him that. How were you able to keep their mother dressed for 25 years since you gave birth to them? Tell him that. You are a teacher. Don't tell me you don't know the curriculum. What should you be teaching? Teach them the basic things you do every day. How did you stay healthy? Why do you go to gym? Why do you run around? Why are you doing all these things? Teach it, say it. So when the father is absent, he's damaging the child. So guess what? A child that God passed through you to come into marriage, for example, as a complete man, is coming as a half-baked man. And we are complaining that men cannot keep women today. It's because fathers fail to teach. So you are a disservice to his future wife. You're already damaging a daughter-in-law you have not met. Do you get what I mean? You see, a lot of fathers are complaining of the marriage of their children. Now them cause them. Now them cause them. Nobody caused it. They caused it. Some fathers are complaining of the kind of daughter-in-law they have. Let me tell you how you caused it. You didn't teach your son how to choose a woman. So he went and chose crocodile and brought home for you for daughter-in-law. I'm going to repeat that one. If you don't teach your son how to get a wife, he will marry a crocodile and make her your daughter-in-law. And the daughter-in-law will insult you to the face. Let me tell you, daughter-in-laws don't happen on people. People's sons go and choose them. Can I repeat it? Daughter-in-laws don't just happen to father-in-laws or families. It is because sons are not even taught what to choose. So they just went to the market and went and picked crocodile and brought the crocodile home. So the whole family is stressing and suffering because your son did not have any standard, so could not choose by standard. Are you getting what I'm saying? So the essential ingredients that should populate the heart or dominate the heart of the child you should raise, so that when they become adult, don't forget, train up a child in the way he should go. Let me tell you this, children will go in the direction they were trained. Train up a child in the way he should go. When he is old, he will not depart from it. So when he is old, if he departs from it, you didn't train. So you see, fathers are not teaching their children. And that's a big problem. You know, let me tell you, you fail as a father if all you do is to provide. You know why? Let me tell you something. I will tell you something. If a scholarship can do all you do, you are a useless father. Hey! Somebody just say, where did they carry this kind of wicked person from to come and be insulting us? If a scholarship or a grant can do all you do as a father, you are not a father. You are just a sponsor. Hello? Did you hear me? If a scholarship or a grant can do all that you do, you are not a father. You are just a sponsor. Guess what? People meet people on the street and choose to help them pay their school fees, send them abroad. But fathers do more than pay bills. Because I'm not just a sponsor, I'm an institution. I came here equipped with more than paying school fees. I came here equipped with more than sponsoring them abroad. I came here equipped with more. I'm a life giver. I'm a nurturer. I'm a maker. I'm a namer. I'm a pruner. You are a holistic institution. You bring an entire value to shape the child. So you teach. Let me tell you something. From when my son was 9+, we have started speaking about his crushes. When he was 10, I challenged him. I told him if that crush he has, he will discuss his crush with me. I'm sorry, I'm not saying this to be boastful. I'm just giving a positive example I can share. If I were one of our men-only program, and you know, the guys there were about 20-something men, and I took my son along. In fact, he has done, out of 4 editions we have done, he has been with me 3 editions. So he was speaking about his crush. Some guys there just looked at him like, excuse me. When I was 10, could my father hear that I had crush? He would kill me. No, I will hear. It is better I hear so that I can guide him not to make mistakes. And guess what? At 10, I gave him a challenge. If you can keep this crush for 8 years till you are 18, me, I'll begin to plan the wedding. He was boastful. He said, I will keep the same crush. He says for life. I said, no problem. He says for life. No problem. No problem. It's just 8 years I'm giving you. 8 years. Guess what? I confirmed a few months ago that crush has been crushed. The crush has been crushed. Lesson learned. Lesson learned. I said the feeling is okay. The feeling is okay. The feeling doesn't have problem. The feeling is very okay. But I say, my brother, can you calm down? Let's test this thing you are feeling for around 8 years. If you reach 18, me, I will begin to plan the wedding with you. But the crush has been crushed, and we are now okay. Very soon, I will refresh that curriculum. How far, my brother? Any other crush on the table? Because crush happens again and again. But how do I help his adult relationships? By showing him what is okay, by telling him lessons that he can pick. Guess what? Every child was born blank. Everything they become is what is imputed into them. The child is like a computer. Everything a child becomes is what they are infused with, what is planted in them, what is put into them. You receive the blank child. It's just like when we bought this glass. It came in series, of course. It was empty. The only reason there's water in it is because I put water in it. Water would never get in here by itself. I will put water in it. So how do I save my children from the dangers of adult relationships? By being their teacher. By being their teacher. Number two, not just teach. Children go through a phase where they essentially are a question and answer machine. Fathers must learn to pay attention to answer questions. If fathers do not answer questions, they will hand their children over to those who are ready to answer their questions. And guess what? The world is struggling to answer their questions. The world is struggling to provide answers to your children. The world is not waiting for you if you are sluggish about it. In fact, the world is dragging them to answer their question. Let me even tell you how bad it is. The world is giving them the questions to ask and supplying the answers they intend to give them. I'm going to repeat that. The world is giving them the questions to ask and supplying the answers that fit the narrative of the world. So let me tell you something. Beat the world to it. You raise the questions with them. Why did Jesus speak in parables? Because he was drawing their attention to more than the questions they asked him. He intended to draw their attention. So Jesus would just begin to speak. Jesus would just look at a life scenario and begin to draw questions out of it. What was he doing? He was choosing the questions because sometimes they will not even ask the right question. So he will help them ask the right questions and begin to answer it. For instance, your son doesn't have to speak about having crushes. You will just sit down over ice cream. I say, David, the way you are fine like this, I know that some girls are greeting you, especially in your class. I know. It's not any, you are just a fine boy. First of all, you cracked that code of shyness. You didn't raise it, I raised it. I normalized it. I played over it. I made it normal for us to talk about it. Children are often uptight when we don't get intentional about making it easy for them to continually ask their questions. We must make it easy. Their question asking machine become a question answering machine. And you cannot become a question answering machine until you calm down and pay attention to them. All right, you must pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. Why? Every good school has question and answer. Every good school. There must be question and answer. Because one of the greatest ways people learn is to actually have their questions answered. Why? No matter how well you teach, there are things that agitate the mind that you can never respond to until you understand how it agitates the mind. What are you doing? You are bettering their adult relationships. Have you seen people who are so bad at their workplace, they fight everybody? They were not trained well to relate. Have you seen bad husbands? Have you seen bad wives? Nobody paid attention to training them. And guess what? Don't forget where I began. The dependence phase, where you choose the curriculum, you choose the timetable, you choose the lecture times, you give it to them. Then you come into the conversation phase, where this child is engaging and asking questions. What are you doing? You are responding. You are responding. But guess what? You know what a lot of fathers do? They shut children down. Let me say this to you and begin to wrap this up so that if there's one or two questions I can take before my session time is over. Let me say this to you. It's a big mistake adults make, especially fathers. And I'm going to give you that point and the baby points under it to help us fathers. You are very likely to think your child's question is stupid. You are wrong. There are no stupid questions when children ask questions. The only stupid questions in life are asked by adults, not children. And I'll tell you why. When an adult is asking a question with a wrong motive, that's stupid. All right? Wrong motive. Children very often have the right motive. They just want to know. They are just genuinely confused. So with a child, I take the risk and hazard a guess that there's no stupid question. No question whatsoever is stupid. So the moment you are getting angry at the question of a child, you are making the biggest mistake you can make in parenting. Don't get angry. Don't see it as stupid. Why am I saying this? Because at that point, a lot is agitating their mind. And until you can answer the agitation, you are actually not very kind. So at this point, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to answer the agitation. There's an agitation in their heart. Guess what? You do two things when you shut them up and do not answer their question. Number one, you actually affirm and confirm and prove to them that they are actually stupid. You confirm to them, affirm to them, prove to them, push at them that they are stupid. They'll begin to doubt themselves. They'll lose their confidence. Why would they not lose their confidence? That's why you see some children, their mates are talking, they can't talk. They can't talk. They can't talk. They are afraid. Because they think that the next thing that comes out of them will be stupid. They think they will mock at them. They think they will laugh at them. Number two thing you do is that you shut access. I'm going to give you a painful example. In fact, that's the final example I'll give. Very painful example. I heard this story yesterday from a school proprietress. Guess what? Two girls in grade 4 were arguing. He came to me first. Who are they talking about? The driver that picks them. They are neighbors, but the driver that picks them. The guy began to sleep with one of them, grade 4, 9-year-old. After he got tired of one of them, he began to sleep with the other one. This child was not telling her parent because she was reporting something that was happening wrongly. The child innocently was telling her parent that the guy has left her to the other girl. Grade 4 children. Grade 4. Who taught that child? What body of knowledge did that child receive? I am glad the child could even go and speak to her mother. But what body of values did they impute in that girl? How did she not know she was being abused? How did she not know that there's a problem here? Guess what? As a counselor, most adult problems I see are tied to all these things we are saying that happen at their childhood, whether it's abuse or lack of teaching or lack of mentorship or lack of training. It happened as children. So you meet somebody who is morally bankrupt, it dates back to something or things that happened when they were children and dependents. So let me say the truth to you. Your relationship with your child in the future, which is a longer relationship than the one when they are dependents, and their relationship that will define their future is dependent on what you do as fathers. We occupy an office. That office is too powerful to play with. And if you do not perform your role in that office, you will destroy a generation. If you do not perform your role in that office, you will destroy a generation. Praise God. If you have questions, I believe this is the time I may be able to respond to 1, 2, or I don't know how much time is left for me. I think the moderator will guide on that point. I'm glad to take a question or two at this point. Thank you.
Wow. This is incredible. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank God.
Thank you so much. We can't thank you enough. Briefly, we'll give you time to catch your breath, while we too are also catching our breath, because the vast boost that you gave to us this evening, I don't think we can recover from it. In short, at a point, I had to abandon my notes because I couldn't write anymore. I have made up my mind to go and catch a replay of this session on slow motion even, because I don't really know if every other person felt it the way I felt it. Thank you so much. The comment section has actually gone berserk. Comments are still pouring in. Thank you so much. Please, viewers, if you have questions, please you can begin to type them in while the speaker will attend to them. Thank you so much. Sir, the viewers are also saying thank you. Thank you.
Thank God.
Comments are welcome, sir. It's coming in through the chat session. Bill Butcher is saying powerful, powerful. Thank you so much. Please, let's have the questions coming in if there be any. Uh, King David say you kill me in pieces. Wow, that's wonderful. You kill me pieces. That's too much. Thank you so much. So please, if there be any question, can we bring them in? Can we bring them in? While we are getting ready for that, let's let the media team give us a review. Let's allow the media team to give us a review. Let's take a commercial break. Thank you.
Good morning, all. My name is Ayodeji, and I'm happy to participate in year 2023 TIP Fathers Conference. I got to know about the inner circle through my wife, even though I've been an observer for quite some time. But this year, I finally joined the inner circle. The journey into the inner circle has been so awesome, so educative, and I've come to learn and unlearn so many things. The truth is that you cannot be using 19th century method to parent in this 21st century generation. It's just like using an old syllabus, and you can't use an old syllabus. It won't be the same. And so I want to encourage other fathers to join the inner circle, and as you join, you will see the difference and learn how to parent well in this present generation. I want to encourage you to also have fun in this year TIP conference. Thank you all, and God bless you. See you at the TIP inner circle.
Okay, thank you, the media team, for that review. Thank you for standing by, Mr. Ocholi, sir. Please, I can see some questions. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, very well. I see them too. Yeah, I think I'm sure you're going to just direct the questions we're able to take. Yeah.
Okay, they are not much. Chibuzo Aneke is asking, at what age of the child is the best to never be absent in as much as all the stages are good?
Okay. That formative stage where they are absolutely dependent. One of the mistakes we make sometimes is we don't realize that even that child that you think cannot think is thinking. Some of the most impactful things in our life today happened to us when our parents thought we could not see, we could not discern, we could not understand. Because the truth is, you don't have very long with these children. Before you know it, the children are out. And when I mean out, I'm not even meaning in the physical sense. Because today, your preteen and teenagers don't really have a lot of use for you in their own mind. They already, begin to feel there's a pull at independence when children hit preteen. They already begin to feel like I want to. If you notice, their question tends towards independence. All right. So now the trust you need to win is actually from that point where you think they are not thinking. All right. So as much as possible, and that's why you see one of the mistakes we make, especially within this electrifying culture where we are moving at jet speed, is we need to stop trusting children into systems that civilization has given us. Civilization has given us all manner of systems. They are now creche can even collect your child at 1 month. They will tell you the nannies are wonderful. Your nannies are wonderful. But I'm passing value, I'm passing the blessing. I'm talking to this child and speaking into their subconscious. Right? Early years. And guess what? For instance, civilization, that present absent thing, a child is off you at 1, 2, morning through 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Come on. That's as dangerous is. You know, so it's that age where you actually think, because a lot of people make the mistake of waiting to start parenting at 5. You're actually 5 years late. Parenting at 6. You feel the child has to respond intelligently before you actually are present to help them. At that point, it's late. Something else has set them from their subconscious into their consciousness, and they are no longer amenable to you. All right? So their amenability is created at that time where you have the opportunity to pour in as much value as you should pour in, so that when they come to the point of conversation, they are actually conversing based on the values you have passed. Not that you are now struggling to undo the things, the system you handed them over. So if there is a phase where we should be more present, quite present, is before they even hit teenage, all that early years, through that dependence phase, and as they approach that conversation phase, so that your conversation is on something that you have put in rightly, not the things they have picked from everywhere and you're struggling to get them to delete it. All right?
Thank you for that, sir.
Thank God.
We have another question from Peter's Ayo. So my question is, what can we do to a father that has refused to grow, learn, or how to parent his children?
That is, pray for him. Refuse to grow, learn. For instance, the fathers that are here, what's their hope? Is because they are coming out to listen. See, no matter how you know. For instance, Coach Wendy shared something about Coach Ebuka. You know, she gave an example that really touched me. We were at a forum together, and she's like, "Look, Coach Ebuka will be a facilitator in a conference or a session, and we register to participate." You know, somebody once asked me, for instance, you know, I mean, with all you teach, your marriage must be so fantastic. I say it's not because of what I teach, it's what I learn. I said there are meetings that when my pastor fixes a marriage seminar in church, I don't miss it. I teach marriage, I don't miss it. Why? It's what I take. So if the father refuses to learn, just pray for him. May God raise foster fathers for his children, because he's failing. Because you can even if you take a horse to the river, you can't force the horse to drink. So for such fathers, please tell them about forums like conferences like this. Tell them about Coach Wendy. Give them review videos. Give them testimonial. Help them. But if they ultimately of their free will do not choose, there's nothing you can do for such a person. It's his legacy that is corrupting.
Thank you for that, sir. I remember there are so many fathers that most of us invited to this conference, and when you take a stylish check around, we will still observe that some of them are not here. Our speaker has said we should pray for them, and I also think that some of them we can share these wonderful videos we are watching so that they can also learn. God will help us in the name of Jesus. Sorry. Another question is, as it is now, you mean there is actually no excusable enough to be there for children? Sorry, not to be there for children and wife, not even the job that provides for home.
Okay, I think this person missed the part where we talked about constructive absence, where there's a constructive reason to be away. But I called it constructive because the first person that you need to make understand your absence is actually your wife. The first person. You know why? When your wife understands and shares your view about your absence, the first thing that happens is that your wife will not become a bitter wife and give a feedback to your children that you're a wicked man. So that wife will become a buffer. That's the first buffer they need. To say that our mother, all right, agrees with him, supports him, is helping him. That's a feedback. Then number two, we talked about constructive absence to say that the distance is no longer a barrier in the 21st century. For instance, we have people joining this conference from all over the world. USA, Canada, UK, Kaduna, Lagos, call the names of every city. What's that? We are absent in flesh, but present electronically. So if you have to be constructively absent, You need to be practically present.